7 Iranian officials, including 2 senior military commanders, were murdered in an airstrike on an Iranian embassy compound in Damascus on Monday, which was widely thought to be carried out by Israel. Welcome everyone to today's video. We're going to tell you about Iran's plan to attack Israel as claimed by experts. It is the largest attack on Iranian targets since 20,120 when US President Donald Trump ordered the death of Qasem Soleimani, a key Iranian commander in Baghdad. Iran may now be forced to retaliate, notwithstanding its refusal to go to war with Israel and the US. But before we proceed with further details, if you're new to this channel, remember to go ahead and hit the bell icon to subscribe, so you won't miss the informative videos we will upload in the future. Iran swears vengeance as it accuses Israel of a deadly bombing on Syria's consulate, worsening Middle East tension. Israel has been assaulting Iranian and Iranian allied interests in Syria for years as part of its campaign between wars policy to prevent and eliminate potential threats to its security. It has increased such attacks since October 7 when Iran-backed Hamas launched an offensive on Israel, killing 12,200 people and capturing 250, sparking a devastating Israeli war in Gaza. However, experts think Monday's strike was a significant escalation because it attacked an embassy compound and killed a prominent commander in Iran's elite Revolutionary Guards. Iran deems it an attack on its sovereign territory under international law. Israel has not claimed credit for the strike, but has stated that the target was a military building of Quds Forces, an RGC unit in charge of overseas operations. This is no consulate, and this is no embassy, Israel Defense Forces spokeswoman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari told CNN. Retaliation in the form of a direct Iranian attack on Israel is improbable since it would encourage a reciprocal attack on Iranian soil, perhaps dragging the US into a regional war. Here, Iran's possibilities target US interests. Iran's Foreign Minister Joseph Amir Abdallah blamed the US for the strike. The Swiss chargé d'affaires in Tan, who represents U.S. interests in the country, was called by Iran's foreign ministry early Tuesday, and an important message was relayed to the American administration. As the Zionist regime supporter, Amir Abdallah then told the United States should be answerable. It appears that the Iranians are holding the U.S. responsible for what Israel has done just as much as the U.S. holds Iran accountable for what the Iraqi militias do. T.R. Perry, Executive Vice President of the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft in Washington, D.C., told CNN Paula Newton, Iran is already engaged in a low-level proxy conflict with the United States via allied militias in Syria and Iraq. However, following the killing of 3 U.S. servicemen in Jordan in January, the violence has de-escalated. The United States reacted with dozens of attacks on at least 7 targets in Iraq and Syria, according to a U.S. official. The U.S. informed Iran that it had no prior knowledge or involvement in the Syrian embassy strike. Perry believes that Iran's rhetoric since the embassy attack suggests that the truce with the U.S. may be over. That would mean that the Israeli attack on Iran has put a target on the backs of American troops in the Middle East, he added. U.S. forces in the region operate in close proximity to Iran-allied militias, but an assault on the U.S. in retribution for Israeli action would spare Israel and may lead to Iran and Washington's direct confrontation, something analysts say neither wants. Iran's most recent direct attack on U.S. interests occurred in 2020 when the Islamic Republic launched a salvo of ballistic missiles at a U.S. base in Iraq in response to Solomon's death days earlier. The strike was the most widespread attack on a U.S. military station in decades. Washington has attempted to distance itself from Monday's Israeli attack. A U.S. National Security Council spokeswoman told CNN on Tuesday that the Biden administration was not involved and had no prior knowledge of Monday's strike, and that the U.S. communicated this directly to Iran, mobilized proxies against Israel. Hezbollah, based in Lebanon, is Iran's most capable proxy in its struggle against Israel. The militia is reported to have approximately 150,000 rockets and precision-guided weapons in close proximity to Israel and has demonstrated the ability to strike deep into Israeli territory. However, Israel has been preparing for war with Hezbollah for months, evacuating more than 40 villages in its north. The two sides have been fighting in skirmishes that have been limited to a few kilometers on either side of the border, while Israel last month struck as far as 100 kilometers into Lebanon. Hezbollah has stated that Monday's strike will result in punishment and revenge, but many have questioned the group's willingness to engage in a costly conflict with Israel. Iran might potentially organize other supported militias in the region, but their capacity to threaten Israel is restricted due to their distance. Yemen's Houthis have already disrupted Israeli and global trade across the Red Sea, and they have attempted but failed to launch missiles towards Israel. Iraqi militias, which are closer to Israel than the Houthis, have also attempted mainly unsuccessfully to attack Israel, according to Sanam Bakal, director of the Middle East and North Africa program at the Sham House think tank in London. Iran is likely to utilize proxy forces as well as diplomatic measures to isolate Israel, but the situation is unlikely to escalate dramatically. The axis of resistance can be activated, she stated, alluding to the region's Iranian forces. They are unlikely to respond with large attacks, but rather with a cascade of responses, she said. Following previous strikes on Iran, Israel has frequently expected Iranian retaliation against its interests in foreign nations and tightened up security at its embassies. Israel has previously accused Iran of seeking to strike its diplomatic posts abroad in revenge for claimed Israeli assassinations of Iranian scientists and officials, as well as attacks on Iran's nuclear installations. Iran has refuted the claims. In 1992, a bomb exploded in the Israeli embassy in Argentina, killing 29 people. Israel blamed it on Iran and Hezbollah. Israel and others claimed Iran for the 2012 attacks on Israeli diplomats in India, Georgia, and Thailand, which Iran denied. Jalal Rashidi Kachi, an Iranian member of parliament, stated on X that Iran could reply by bombing the Israeli embassy in Baku. According to Vakil, Iran is unlikely to strike Israeli diplomatic missions abroad, and Iran likely doesn't want to lose whatever favor it has gained from this attack. Since October 7, there has been a lot of criticism that Iran has lost its deterrence capability, she said, adding that Iran will try to demonstrate that it still has the capability without sparking a broader war. Israel is thought to have intensified its targeting of Iranian officials since October 7. So far, Iran's response has been largely limited to harsh rhetoric, with few of its threats being carried out. Analysts believe the Islamic Republic may be forced to strike this time due to the escalation nature of Monday's attack, but warned that Iran may be sliding into a trap, a broader conflict with Israel that includes Iran might bring Western nations to Israel's side at a time when Israel is becoming increasingly isolated on the global stage as a result of its actions in Gaza. Iran may not want a full-fledged conflict with Israel, but it could be dragged into one. Now the ball is in Iran's court. Vali Nasser, a Middle Eastern professor and former State Department official, wrote on X Israel is prodding Iran to retaliate. Iran is likely to bide its time and keep the focus on Israel on Gaza rather than Syria and Iran, according to Vakil from Chatham House. Iran is unlikely to retaliate with a frontal military attack. Instead, it will most certainly build on this momentum of international condemnation for the war in Gaza, heightening international worries of a larger regional conflict and further isolating Israel, knowing that the region, Israel, and the United States all want to avoid a broader war. Iran would try to leverage these dynamics to buy time and favor, she said. I think Iran is going to play multiple cards simultaneously, she said, referring to cyber attacks, low-level military conflicts via proxies, and diplomatic offensives. That's all for today's video. Iran has already requested an emergency UNSC meeting to categorically denounce the violation of international regulations, according to the RNA news agency. Don't forget to like the video and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos from our channel. Thanks for watching and see you all soon.